Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
This is Mary Scott. Welcome to another episode of the Richness of Our Lives podcast. Now, would you believe it? Today, I have the youngest entrepreneur that I've ever interviewed, ever. And I've been on the planet for a while, so you ought to be excited about today's guest. We have Jia Rastogi with us today from New South Wales, so we're coming again from Australia. Oh my goodness, isn't it good how we have so much variety here for you to listen to, different people, different stories. Now, there's a lot to say about this young woman. I'm only going to say a little bit at a time because I want you to truly take it in. Firstly, you can see her in her background. She's written a book, Class Clown to Wealth Wizard. And you know, some of that was set off or set in motion, if you like, by coming and growing up in a real estate savvy family. So she learns from a very young age some really cool things about financial abundance, financial wisdom, and my goodness, for her young years, she is already wise about this. So there's a few more things I'm going to add in as we go, but let's go to Jia. Hello, Jia. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, so excited.
Yes, I am too. And how do you feel about being the youngest entrepreneur I've ever interviewed?
It's an honor, honestly, like to be on this podcast with you.
Well, it's my privilege, really. It's your honor, you're saying, and that's lovely of you to say. Tell us about your book. It's a cool title. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically it's like a story that also teaches at the same time. So I call it like a non-fiction fiction book. So it's basically a story about five friends who meet at a high school reunion. And the main character, Sam, he's a lot more he becomes a lot more wealthier after school. So in high school, he's like the class clown. So not many people had big hopes for him in the future. But at their 20-year high school reunion, they find out that he's a lot more wealthier, and they're really excited to know what he did. But then, because obviously everyone has their jealousies as well, a few of them are quite jealous of what he did, and yeah, but they end up learning from him, and it teaches the reader too along the way.
Oh, that's really cool. Yes, that's interesting that you say that. Jealousy is an interesting thing, isn't it? And so he became quite wealthy, and then people changed from being a little bit envious to, oh, yes, they could learn something. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So first they came in and they thought he's probably just faking it. He's not really what he's saying that he actually is, because their impression of him was still that he's a class clown. But then they realize over time that he actually knows what he's saying. And so that's why they want to learn from him rather than just ignoring and not listening.
That's lovely, isn't it? Because that happens in life, doesn't it? Because one of the things I say is that talk is cheap. And when you think about him, he was talking about it, and then he showed the evidence, I imagine. That's really cool. And you like stories. You say storytelling is a really good thing.
Yeah.
Sound like you're a bit of a storyteller yourself.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a fun way to, go through the concepts of financial literacy. Because what I've seen myself is that there's a lot of books out there about these topics, but they're quite intimidating or hard to read, or it just goes straight into all the hard words. But then, my book's it comes from a very basic level, so then you can learn slowly rather than just being thrown into the deep end.
I think that's a lovely differentiation you make there, Gia, because you're quite right. There's some, I was going to say there's lots of books, but you've just got to go somewhere or go online. And for the, what should I say, the uninformed people, you go there and you think, what book should I choose? And then finally you choose one, and then you can't understand half the words.
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah, go on.
yeah, for me, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's one of the books that I read, but I read it in year 7, so nothing really made sense to me. And my dad was the one who like was helping me understand like what each of the concepts meant. So, I'd read the book and then I was like, this made no sense. And then he'd start teaching it to me. So it was kind of like the book was also a way of me putting it into the way that I learned it as well. So like through those stories is the way that I've learned it. So I've just incorporated that into my book.
That's really good. Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. That's a great book, and it's been around for a long time. And I think that'll probably outlive most of us because of the what's in there. The content's very valuable. Year
Yeah.
7. How old does that make you when you read that book?
Probably 12 or 11, I think.
That's magnificent. And your dad helped you.
Yeah. So I remember one of the things about pyramiding, so buying like properties consecutively, there was one thing that I didn't understand about the equity. So I still have like a vivid memory of him like drawing it up on the whiteboard, and I was sitting on the floor. It was almost like a teaching, in the classroom. So it was kind of like that.
Yeah, that would be funny. Your dad suddenly changes into this teacher with a whiteboard. Is he good
Yeah.
at that?
Yeah, it was a pretty good lesson, I must say.
That's fabulous. He seems like he's been quite a strong role model for you, your dad. I've heard you mention him before.
Yeah, so definitely so basically he founded our business, the Get Rare Properties. So that's had a huge influence on me. I've become quite involved with that business. I manage the website, so I know quite a lot about. So the business helps Australians buy properties by using the right strategy. So I've learned quite a lot by, overhearing his like client conversations. So because we started in COVID, it's always been at home. So I'm always listening to it around the house.
Yeah, that's a good way, isn't it? Osmosis, pick it up as you go.
Yeah.
And learning about, I love the name, incidentally, Rare Properties. I've seen some of your father's videos, very
Yeah.
eloquent gentleman. So that's lovely. Is your mum in the business as well?
Yeah, so basically she was working corporate first for like the first year and a half, but then she also moved into the business. So now she works full time as well.
Wow. And before long, you'll be in the business, I imagine.
Yeah. Or starting my own business. That's the
Yeah,
vision.
oh, that's the way to go. That's true entrepreneurship. But you're about to go back to school tomorrow.
Yeah, I am.
Is this your final year?
Yeah, so I'm graduating this year and then probably uni next year.
Fantastic. Do you like school?
It's good, yeah. So I go to Manly Selective. So it's like focused on academics, but it's also very like sport orientated. So it's a great way to like learn and then also achieve good in school.
Yeah, that's lovely. So can you have electives in sports? Is that what you're saying?
No, but like on outside of academics, because the school's close to the beach, so a lot of people are quite sports orientated, like from their childhood. So it's not that competitive in the academics, yet we still do well in academics. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Now, Gia and I have had a couple of, well, one good chat before this, but I found out some interesting things and I want to share them with you because I think they're valuable in how we set ourselves up in life. Now, Gia, you're a pretty big personal development fan. Is that right?
Yeah.
And recently you did, what was it, a 5-day workshop called Empower? Is that right?
So it's a 5-day camp that we went to, and it's called Empower You. So yeah, basically it was 5 days. It was about 80 students, about 80 young adults, teenagers, not students, but we're all from the Empower You community. And yeah, so it's run by a bloke called Brent Williams, and he runs the entire thing, and it was really cool.
What did you learn? Tell us about what was your experience like.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Tony Robbins. I mean, I've seen my parents do Tony Robbins, so I could relate to a few things. So, like, we did the board break as well, and then we also walked on fire, which was quite transformative and even a bit emotional as well. But yeah, I think a huge thing was like about getting out of your comfort zone rather than just being stuck in your own bubble, and then also learning to love yourself more as well.
They're very valuable,
Mm,
what should I say, attributes. Loving yourself, because I think when you love yourself, you can love others.
yeah,
And
exactly.
the other big one, and adults learn this all the time. Children learn it sometimes with steep learning curves, getting out of our comfort zone. And that's what we do. And that's how we grow. And those that are not jumping out of that don't grow, they stagnate. Do you think that's a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of getting out of your comfort zone, you're also a Duke of Edinburgh Gold recipient. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm working on my gold award program right now.
So tell us about that for people that don't know about the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Just give us a little smidge about that, would you?
Yeah, so it's basically a way to like challenge yourself. So there's like four components. So there's one you do, it's about being consistent and then also achieving a goal at the end. So at the start, you set yourself a goal, and there's three main categories that you do weekly. So there's one that's giving back to the community, one that's working on a skill for yourself, and then the last one is to do a sport as well, so physical recreation. And then my favorite part out of all of them is the camp, which you do for each of them. So there's three awards. There's the bronze, silver, and gold. So I'm now working on my gold, but I've already been on three camps already for the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So it's really cool.
Oh, that's great. That was great introduction for people that don't know about it. But what is it about the camps? What do you like about, what's so special about these camps?
The camps are quite different, honestly, because most of the camps I've been on are either with family or, like school trips where you're like living in cabins and stuff. But for Duke of Ed, it's more about living in the bush. So, sorry, carrying a rucksack and then having all your tent, all your like your sleeping bag, all the food, your clothes for the 5 days. So then it's quite a different experience, and it really challenges you, especially, and focuses on the teamwork as well. So it's about like 8 to 10 people that you work with, and you have to like navigate through the bush. For my silver one as well, we went kayaking for the 5 days, not bushwalking. So that one, you're like on a river and you're like you have to waterproof all your stuff just in case you like accidentally capsize. You don't want to be sleeping in a wet tent and wet sleeping bag. So yeah, it's a really different experience. And then also like cooking all your food by yourself. It's really different. So I really liked it. And you also get to meet a bunch of people, which is just awesome.
Yeah, that's lovely. I like that. I've done a few of those kind of things myself. And you seem to really like this camping in your tent, cooking, just being in nature. But are you with other people or you by yourself in a particular spot when you're doing that?
So it's quite like by yourself. Like obviously you have your team, but it's quite rare that you see other people around as well. But you do see them quite frequently because it's around like the Hornsby area where I did it. So you saw a few people who are like hiking for the day, but not anyone who's doing anything like this. But
It's really
yeah.
cool. I would imagine that it really highlights your senses a lot more,
Yeah.
the birds, the sounds, the smell. Was that your experience?
Yeah. So even for some of it, so the one I just did one in December, so it's January now. But in December, it was half of it was like bushwalking, but then the other half was also like urban. So we went like walking next to the beach and then, going up the headlands. And it was really cool that. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's lovely, isn't it? And the comparison from being in the bush going up the headlands and the view of the water.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm off into that water now. That just whole visual set me afire. So how much longer have you got to go to complete the gold part of the Duke of Edinburgh?
Yeah, so for gold, there's actually two camps. So I've already done one of them, but I have to still organize and do my second one. And then for like my hours, I'm like about halfway now. So yeah.
How many hours have you got to do?
So for gold, it's actually 52 hours. So 52 weeks, pretty much a year. So I'm about halfway through that mark.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. I love it. You've got quite a lot of strings to your bow. Now, another little one, for if you're listening, here's another little one that is just here. It's a beautiful thing. I read that you were a finalist, beg your pardon, entrepreneur for the year 2024. You were a finalist. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, so that was actually so I actually met a person in Empower You. I mean, I met a lot of people, but one person I met, he told me about these awards. So then I was like, and he like encouraged me to do it as well. He's like, you should put yourself forward for this. So I nominated myself for my book, and then they did the judging and all, and then I turned out to be a finalist, which was quite, I don't know what the word is, but quite thrilling and also exciting to hear that I'm getting the praise from the book that
Absolutely.
I really hope for.
Yeah. So did you say grueling? Was it a grueling interview that you had to do?
No, so it was more of a like entries that we had to do online, and then there was like you had to attach a few things, and then they were able to do judging based off that.
Oh, wow. Yes. I know those ones. You've got to attach so many different things, and they ask you questions that you've got to sit and really think about, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Oh, I think that's just lovely. That's a beautiful thing. And you've got a younger sister, is that right?
Yeah, so my sister's 12.
That's fantastic. So you founded a company or let's say an organization called Gift Hampers, you and your sister. When did you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, so it's called Gift Hampers for You, and we started in 2021, I think, so 4 years ago now. But it's
Who was
basically
8 then?
I was 12 then, so
And she was 8.
yeah, she was 8.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I think it's lovely. That's why I
Yeah.
had to say, oh, your sister was 8. Okay, so tell me more. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so basically we create hampers, and so she helps with the physical side of it because it's, quite fun putting the boxes together and stuff. But the reason like I did it was to learn more about business because I know in the future I want to run a business myself. But gift hampers for you, it's a way to learn about like the marketing and like the accounting and the website creation. So all the back end of the business, that's not just about delivering the product.
So what's in these hampers? Are you allowed to give secret information out?
Yeah. So it's like so we have like two different categories. We have one self-care side, so that has like candles, diffusers, face masks, those kind of things. And then the other side's like the food related stuff. And then so that has like cheese boards, cheese knives, crackers, little treats in there. So it's easy to show like someone a bit of love, but like by sending the hamper. But the way that we really differentiate ourselves is that it's quite like personalized, our hampers. So you're able to write a message in there yourself, and you can choose like which products you don't want or do want.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I could go in there and choose this and put it together myself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so you choose like a budget, and then we work with you to help choose whatever you want.
So all the marketing and the website, you did that yourself?
Yeah, so that's all done by myself.
So you're a bit of a techie.
I guess so.
Well,
Yeah.
I imagine there's a bit to set up, and you said that you also manage the Rare Properties website. I think that's what you said before. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that. Is that fun to do? Is that easy
Yeah.
to do?
It definitely isn't easy all the time, but the thing that I really love about it is designing. So when it comes to design, I'm quite a perfectionist, so I'm always making sure that it's like all symmetrical, the themes all aligned, so those kind of things. But yeah, I have quite fun doing it and then also learning along the way. So the website that was in 2020 is quite different to what it is now, obviously, because it's like evolved over the time. But then like seeing it change and evolving with it was quite interesting and cool.
That's really good. Was that the same for Hampers for you? You've slowly developed more and more about the website.
Yeah, and then because gift hampers, it has like the order page on the website itself. So designing that and making sure it's all secure.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, there's a lot involved.
Yeah.
So here you are. I don't think I've missed anything, have I? I think, is there more little treasures about you that we should know, or have I covered it all?
If I had to add, then probably I do surf life saving as well. So volunteering at the beach. Yeah, and then also netball as well. I play
That's
every
lovely. It sounds quite balanced. Does your life feel balanced?
sometimes it's a bit hectic, but yeah, it is quite nice to have like that diverse variety of things to do.
Yeah, that's just lovely. I'm just sitting here kind of loving the juiciness of this conversation, and you're so bright and lovely when you're talking to me. I really appreciate your time. Now, let's think about this. The book, how's it all going? We've gone back to the book.
Yeah. It's quite awesome, honestly. So I think the book, it was quite a learning curve when I was writing it. Obviously, I hadn't written a book before, so it was all quite new to me. But I actually got the idea in year eight, but obviously with like my head, I was like, I'm a bit too young to do this, so I didn't have like the mindset to put myself out there because I was like, who's gonna trust me when I'm in year eight? But then over the time, I realized like, no, this is something that I can do, and that age doesn't matter either. So then putting myself out there by writing the book. And I think what also helped was I reached out to a bunch of people asking for feedback and what they could like. I wanted brutal feedback. I wanted them to tell me like what can I add to this book? What needs to be changed? Like what isn't right? So like the thing I said about jealousy, that's something that we added later on in the journey. So it was kind of in like the last few months of me publishing it, I was adding that to the book because it was like this seems like too picture perfect. Like everyone's just on board with like the conversations that's happening. So then that's why I had to add one of the characters who were like a bit negative about Sam's journey.
That's lovely. Yeah, feedback's good in that respect, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
sometimes it fills the gap. And I love what you're saying because things are not perfect, are they? Life doesn't
Yeah.
go like this. It sometimes does that, and you have
Yeah.
to learn to deal with that. Now, you mentioned something about consistency, I think, in both our conversations. Would you say you're consistently applying your entrepreneurial skills to your everyday life?
Yeah, definitely. Like every single day it's coming up. So what I've done with my book is that I'm trying to, now that I've written the book, my dad always says like that's the easy part. But what's the more challenging part is to get the word out there about the book. So actually like marketing. And so what I've done is I've created, on the social media platforms, I post quite regularly on each one. So I'm making sure that I'm like pushing content out there. I'm like filming every now and then, editing them and then posting them out as well. So I think that I have to be quite consistent with that. So then, yeah, it's quite a journey, honestly.
I think that's lovely. I've seen some of your videos. I
Yeah.
love it. You just seem to be a born natural. And it's funny you mentioned before about mindset.
Mm.
Have you given much thought to that? Well, tell me more about your mindset and what you think's ideal.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's about like challenging yourself rather than just, staying stagnant. But then also for me, because like I'm young, it's like quite challenging for myself to put myself out there because I like obviously get those like negative thoughts about like, oh, does anyone actually care about this? That kind of thing. But it's more about like having the supportive people around you. So not only my parents, but also like my friends, they're always like telling me about like the good job that I'm doing, or like, oh, that's like really cool that you've like went and done this, and different things that I've done, they like appreciate that. And that's what like really helps like push you further and like make you do a better job, rather than just, going out there once and then like maybe crawling back into your little hole because you get a bit scared.
That's true. What you're talking about is mediocrity versus entrepreneurship, really, aren't you?
Mm.
The big difference there. And I notice you've got about 2,000 connections on LinkedIn. All kudos to you. So people are going to be able to connect with you there. Is there a second book? I haven't asked you this.
Well, I haven't thought about it yet, but a lot of people have actually asked me this. But definitely, I think maybe down the track, but not as of now. Like I'm not working on a second book right now, but maybe in the future I will.
That's beautiful. I love the colors. And just for a second, when I saw the title of your book, I was thinking wizard. So you're a bit of a wizard. That's what I thought. You
Yeah.
create magic, don't you?
Yeah. So I think, putting the wizard into the like title also makes it a bit more like magical, rather than just, it doesn't seem like it's like a intimidating kind of book. It's like, and then also like the book cover with like the 5 figures, it shows that there's like a bit more to the book rather than just the wealth part of it.
Yeah, that's right. Have you got a copy there you can just hold up and show?
Yeah, so
listeners?
that's the book here.
That's awesome, because we'll put this on YouTube as well so people can be able to see you in the book. Oh, it's lovely, very substantial. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's round this all off, because I could go on for a bit longer. I'm loving talking to you. You're a breath of fresh air, to be honest. What's one thing you'd like everyone to know about you, your life, anything at all? Is there a line that you would like to share?
Yeah, probably about like how financial literacy is made, like the way that I've done it is to make financial literacy easy and accessible for everyone to learn. So the way that I market it a bit is like it's for young teenagers or adults, but it's also for anyone who wants to invest, anyone who wants to have that first step. It's about building the exposure. And, reading the more intimidating books, it might be a bit hard at first. So my book's a nice way to like make you understand the concepts on a high level and what you need to know about property investing as well.
That's beautiful.
Thank
Jia,
you.
thank you so much for your time today. I know
Thank
you're
you.
a busy, very busy young woman, and it's been a privilege, and we will make sure all the listeners get your links to your book and to LinkedIn so they connect with you and learn more about what an abundant and powerful life you are living. So thank you so much for being my guest today. It's just been lovely.
Thank you so much for having me.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.